Warning, the following video expresses the opinion of a Spyro fan surrounding the factual sources of a Spyro reboot. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, it's Crystal Blazer. I'm here to talk about one of the popular pairings in the Spyro franchise, Spyro and Cinder. This pairing originated from the Legend of Spyro trilogy, a story-driven and dark reboot in the Spyro franchise, and is considered to be one of the most popular pairings in the series. But what most Spyro fans don't know is that there is a reason why Spyro and Cinder were made into a canon pair. Let's dive right into the subject. In the old classic Spyro games, Spyro was never interested in love, seeing it as a plague, and was quick to dismiss any notion of it. But in the Legend reboot, Spyro was given a love interest, paired with someone who gained his sympathy, who helped them through hardships, and fought for their happily ever after. That someone was Cinder the Dragon. Their destinies intertwined the moment they were chained together by a magical tether against their will, in the final story installment, The Legend of Spyro: Dawn of the Dragon. This romantic relationship wasn't planned at all during the story's overall development. Spyro and Cinder confirming their love for each other was shoehorned late into the story because the producers of the trilogy catered to the fanbase who wanted Spyro to have a love interest. And the only known female dragon character he has interacted with in the entire trilogy was Cinder, a fellow dragon around his age. Jared Polin, the lead concept artist of The Legend of Spyro: New Beginning and The Eternal Night, said this in a 2016 interview about the subject. It's more that them getting together wasn't a thing we'd intended originally. It's pretty much something that emerged from fan conversations. Like I've marveled at with appreciation now for years. Cinder and Spyro have a life all their own. They've grown up, flown the coop, and have nested comfortably. Seeing the fans' delight in wanting Spyro and Cinder to get together prompted me and the team to consider it. It only seems natural to me. I think it's now commonplace belief, if not unwritten lore, that they are an item. It's the way I would have eventually gone with it. As stated, Cinder was basically shoehorned into being a love interest for Spyro after the developers saw how much the fans were shipping them together in fan works. And here's the kicker. Cinder displayed no romantic interest in Spyro in A New Beginning and The Eternal Night, besides both of them being friends, showing concern for one another, and being civil. You can show concern and have civilized conversations with a friend without falling in love. It's not an instant love connection, especially if only a couple of weeks have passed in the story since A New Beginning. According to Jared Polin, not much time passed between Spyro: A New Beginning and The Eternal Night. During the start of The Eternal Night, Sparks mentioned that weeks had passed since Cinder stayed at the temple. Both Spyro and Cinder have only known each other for an unknown number of weeks, a short time, but not long enough that love would blossom between them. Fans may not see an issue with how rushed the love connection was if they were already shipping Cinder with Spyro from the get-go. I mean, they are the ones the developers were catering to when they decided to suddenly ship the two dragons together at the last minute. The fans are free to see their relationship as genuine, but it's not what was visibly displayed in the games proper. Because Spyro being paired with Cinder was rushed, added in at the last minute, there was no chemistry through the story that warrants a love connection, which made Cinder's confession of love feel out of place. All done to cater to fan service. Let's not forget, in the first game entry of the Legend reboot, The Legend of Spyro: New Beginning, Spyro's first interaction with Cinder was when she was a brainwashed villain and she tried to kill Spyro the moment she laid eyes on him. Spyro's perspective on Cinder only changed when Ignitus told Spyro Cinder's origins and why she was a monster in the first place. This was what made Spyro save Cinder after he defeated her. He knew that Cinder was just an innocent victim to the Dark Master's influence, and her dark path was chosen the moment she was born without being given a choice. During the weeks Cinder stayed at the temple, I can only see a friendship blooming between Spyro and Cinder. Both of them getting to know each other and be comfortable in each other's company after all that's happened in A New Beginning. But romance? Nah, at least not to me. Plus, it doesn't help that Spyro and Cinder were the only young dragons present throughout the whole storyline. For all we know, others of their generation were pretty much killed off by the Dark Armies when they were purging dragons during the war. Kinda gives off, hey, they're the only young dragons around. They must love each other to survive and repopulate vibes. Ooh. And don't forget, in Dawn of the Dragon, Cinder was given a sudden change in personality that is very different from her portrayal in the previous two games. In Dawn of the Dragon, she was snappy, short-tempered, and a jerk towards Spyro and some of the other characters for most of the game, until around, spoiler alert, Ignitus' death. That's not character development for romance. And this was the only game where we actually see most of Spyro and Cinder communicating with each other compared to what was shown in the previous two titles. Here are a couple of cutscenes regarding Spyro and Cinder's interactions with each other and their relationship throughout the trilogy, after she was freed from Malefor's control and before, spoiler alert, Ignitus' death.
See anything, Spyro?
No. But I've got a bad feeling.
Me too.
Cinder, what are you doing out here? It's dangerous.
You shouldn't have followed me, Spyro.
That's good enough for me. Let's go. See ya.
Please, don't make this harder for me than it already is.
I'm just trying to understand.
I'm leaving, Spyro. I don't belong here. After all I've done, all I've put you through, I can't stay.
Cinder, nobody blames you for what happened.
Huh, I do. Speak for yourself.
Sparx.
No, Sparx is right. And every day that goes by, I'm reminded of it. Spyro, your place is here. Your destiny is here. But mine is somewhere out there for me to find.
Cinder, I don't want you to go.
Goodbye, Spyro.
I told you she was evil. Look, my eye's twitching again.
Just like old times, huh, Spyro?
Cinder, I'm not going to fight you.
Relax. I'm just trying to put on a show for the crowd while we figure out what to do.
Don't trust her. She wants to eat me.
What's happening?
I want out. I want out. I want in. I want in.
Get away from me!
Cinder! Spyro, this way. There's an opening.
Can these books tell the future?
In parts, though just glimpses of the future, really.
Then I want to know what will happen to Cinder.
Spyro, you don't know.
Please! I must know.
Very well, but hers is a darker tale. Spyro, you must understand, when she was taken by Gaul, she was poisoned and corrupted, made to do the Dark Master's bidding. Her entire life has been spent in shadow. She knows no other way. And when the Dark Master returns, she will concede. No one can resist the temptation. Not even the strongest among us.
I don't believe that. But you said that the eclipse would only allow the spirits to escape for a short while.
Yes, but if there was ever a spirit powerful enough,
Then how do we stop it?
there is no stopping it. It has been written.
Then why have you called us here? I don't understand.
To ride out this storm, where you'll be safe, and live to fight another day.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
What about the others? What about their safety?
I fear the worst for the others.
And Cinder? Am I supposed to sit here and do nothing while she joins them?
Let me field this one. Yes!
No. You keep talking about choosing a path. But what about Cinder? She was never given a choice. I have to try. I'm going, and you can't stop me.
Then, I won't. Young dragon, I've waited far too long to watch you leave here stricken with grief and doubt. You'll need a clear mind and a pure heart if you are to withstand the evil that consumes that place.
I know this is not the path you would choose for me, but I have to walk my own path and do what I know is right.
So be it, Spyro. I will show you the way, but you must hurry. The dark hour of the eclipse is near, and haste will be your only ally.
All right, then. Well, just so I know why I died, the plan is to wander into the land of darkness to face an army of evil creatures that will want to kill us so we can try to rescue another evil creature that has already tried to kill us? I'm pumped. Let's do this.
Where are we?
The better question is, what's that smell?
The purple whelpling. It's fitting that you should be here tonight, as we bear witness to the dawn of a new age, and the failure of your pathetic race of dragons.
I wouldn't miss it, doll.
Then please, have a seat. Foolish dragon, you are no match.
I've made it this far, haven't I?
Yes, you've been quite elusive. Had I but known that all it would take would be your miserable amity for Cinder.
What's Amity?
How tragic, really, that she should be the one to destroy you.
Ah! The nightmare never ends!
You don't need to do this, Cinder.
Just like old times, huh, Spyro? Same as last time. Line me up with a staff.
This isn't over. Don't touch him. The whelpling is mine.
What's happening down there?
Spyro? You okay, buddy? Ah!
Oh no. Spyro, stop!
Whoa, calm down, man. It's me.
I can't. Spyro? What have I done?
You're okay, Spyro. You're with friends.
I'm sorry. I couldn't stop.
Uh-oh! That's our only way out!
Come on, now's our chance!
Just go.
Get up, Spyro! We're not leaving without you!
Usually, I would say ignore her, but she's making sense this time.
Oh no. We're trapped.
Ride out this storm and live to fight another day.
Get close to me. Now!
Spyro. Spyro, open your eyes. Get up.
Cinder, what happened? Where are we?
I don't know. It's all a blur.
Yeah, me too. My head's pounding.
Shh, wait. That's not your head. I hear it too.
What is that? Sparks! Is that you?
For once, I wish it was. What are they doing?
Let's not stick around to find out. Come on!
What is your problem? Oh, this can't be good.
This chain is slowing us down. We can't fight it. We'll have to move in unison. Follow my lead.
Why should you leave?
Uh-oh. Take cover!
Okay, good idea. You lead.
Hey, Spyro! Man, you're alive!
Sparks! It's good to see you too. You okay?
You know, a little stiff. Voice keeps changing, but I'm good.
Hey, this reunion is really touching and everything, but shouldn't we be going? Unless you want to wait for that thing to climb back up. I hate to think what it might do to Sparks.
Who is he?
I don't know. All he said was, "Shh, you're making too much noise."
I like him already.
Go. Tell Ignitus I have found them.
It's no use.
Well, maybe if we try twisting it.
Twist what? It's magic.
I can watch this all day.
The Dark Master. He's returned, hasn't he?
I am afraid so. Just shortly after your disappearance, he struck quickly, fueled by hatred and malice, reclaiming the throne at the temple, which, through some dark magic, he now suspends above the land, a symbol of his dominance. We've been at war ever since, and every day, his forces grow stronger, and ours lose hope.
I failed. They were all counting on me, and I failed. How could I let this happen?
Some things are beyond your control. You shouldn't blame yourself.
Spyro, you are lucky to be alive. All of you. That was no ordinary creature back there. It was an ancient Earth golem from the deep. They are the embodiment of destruction summoned by Malefor himself. These are dark times.
He needs to be stopped. I have to stop him.
Whoa, 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 slow down, tough guy. You don't need to go around picking fights. I mean, we just woke up after being frozen for 3 years. Got stuff to do. What the? Is she sleeping? Hey!
Come closer so I can see you in the light. Tell me, why have you returned here?
What do you mean? I've never been here before.
Not you. The female.
You must be mistaken.
Indeed. Your appearance has changed, but not your eyes. Your eyes give everything away. You are the Black Dragon, Cinder, the terror of the skies, the Dark Master's puppet.
I was, but I'm not anymore. I'm not proud of the things I've done.
Oh, is it that simple to turn your back on Malefor?
You don't have to listen to him, Cinder.
Did you not recognize the creatures that moved in the shadows? The apes too had served the Dark Master, but more for their own greed and thirst for power than any true loyalty to him. This is how Malefor repaid them. Doomed to remain in the dark, feeding off the power of others, never being fulfilled. You can run. But you cannot hide, Cinder.
Cinder, let's go.
The Dark Master will find you.
Cinder, are you okay?
I'm fine. I'll be fine.
Well, I am not. Was I the only one who was freaked out by that guy? Jeez. Okay, at least it wasn't a complete waste of time. Ta-da! Come on, what you waiting for?
While Jared Polin did state that the romance would have been something he'd gone with eventually, I'd say the developers should have put hints of Spyro and Cinder developing romantic feelings for each other throughout the trilogy after Cinder's defeat in the first Legend game, instead of just dropping it in last minute in the final story entry just to appeal to fan service. But with a lack of budget and yearly development time, I can understand why they couldn't add more details. Unfortunately, this caused a portion of the Spyro fanbase to believe that Cinder's sole existence in the Spyro universe is to be Spyro's girlfriend and nothing more. Just exists to be Spyro's emotional crutch, which is ironically how she was portrayed in Spyro Dawn of the Dragon, chained to Spyro throughout the game against her will, but still provided both physical and emotional support. If you're going to add a love relationship between two characters in the last story installment because you want to appeal to fans who are shipping them together, I would recommend not adding it in at all, because the story is already on its last chapter. It's too far in, and suddenly making the characters love each other when there is no chemistry that warrants it will look unnecessarily out of place. Not everything has to be a love story. Story-wise, both Spyro and Cinder personally have known each other for an unknown amount of weeks that not much time passed between A New Beginning and The Eternal Night. There was no visible chemistry between them that warrants a genuine love connection. If the developers had enough time and budget to expand on their relationship, I would have no issue. But due to the lack of said budget and minimized production time, Spyro and Cinder's relationship wasn't expanded upon enough that it ended up being rushed out the door. And they still felt like friends at the end of the day, despite being made into a couple. Personally, I hope if they ever decide to bring Cinder into the new Spyro universe and decide to have her as a love interest for Spyro, I hope they don't suddenly shoehorn them into a love relationship that caters to the fans who are just madly eager for romance. Build their relationship up. Have some chemistry that works. Have some traction. I see Cinder as a character with potential, a character who is more than just an emotional anchor to the main protagonist. Having Spyro and Cinder as just friends can work too, as we've seen in Skylanders and Skylanders Academy. This will allow fans free reign to ship Spyro with Cinder together in the new universe as much as they want. Or it's possible they could reboot Cinder's character in the new universe as Spyro's long-lost sibling. That could work too. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe. Shout out goes to Travis the Dragon for the nice thumbnail art they made for the video. Be sure to drop by the Magic Raptor Spyro fan forums to talk with others in the Spyro community. The links to Jared Polin's Spyro interview and his comments are posted in the description below.